how's everybody doing today? My name is Steven Rosenberg. This is Gene Ginsberg, and this is Marketing Success in Under 10 Minutes. We have a very special guest today, Justin Crane, jcrane.com. I'll let him and Gene do a little bit more on the intro and tell us a little bit about yourself, Justin.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I think I got to have my last name be Justin Craneberg. That way we could be the Bergs.
Yeah, all three Bergs.
Let's do it.
Rosenberg,
yeah, so
love it.
Thanks for having me. Anyways, I teach business owners how to be smart with their money so that they can work towards financial independence.
Awesome. Wow, that's really exciting, and of course very, very relevant to what we're talking about with our entrepreneurs, because there's all kinds of things that we talk about, like how to be an entrepreneur and how to set up Facebook and how to do Snapchat, but of course the main thing is the money piece, right? Like every entrepreneur needs to know about that. So tell us more a little bit about your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about like how to get ahead in life, you could either spend less, make more money, maybe do a combo of the same. I'm about growing. I'm about making more money. So what does that really mean? It means you got to have profits. It means you got to have money in the bank. And it means that you can't throw money away. And you got to be smart with what to do with it when it comes in. So that's what I do. I teach people how to win in business using their numbers to their advantage.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yes.
And do you have like a focus on a specific industry or just in general?
I would say most of my following are women business owners. For me, getting into business, I always felt like I was doing what I thought I should be doing, not really what I wanted to be doing. And so many times women are doing what they think they should be doing. They're taking care of everyone else. They're not putting themselves first. And for me, I had this big business breakthrough where I really said, all right, I'm going to grow my own financial life by getting myself into just a new echelon, a new financial life. And I think a lot of women business owners, they want to have an identity of just their own. They want to have their own thing, and they want to grow through financial success. So my message has resonated with them.
Wow, that's very interesting because, there are so many new women entering the entrepreneurial space, and I'm sure it's probably a different audience than maybe men, perhaps, because it's they probably face different problems versus entrepreneurial men. So what was the catalyst for all of this? Why did you what made you decide to open up this type of business and help these women?
Well, what I realized was not that many people are doing this. Like, you got bookkeepers that do data entry, you got accountants that do tax planning, but where do you really go for money strategy? Where do you go to get help with your business money? There was a hole, and I was like, I'm going to run with it. I even made up my own title, money strategist. Like, come on. I'm a CFP. I manage over 90 million bucks for my clients, but I found this hole, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to open up a second business and just teach money strategy. So my story was basically getting divorced about 8 years ago, having to financially hit the reset button. And I'm like, I'm going to grow myself out of this, and I'm going to be smart how I do it. And I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fail, and I'm going to learn from them, pick myself up, and just go.
I love that. That sounds very similar to my law of 50. You got to get 49 no's for every one yes. And if you can't take those failures, you're in big trouble.
That's right.
So what is that? Oh, go ahead, Steven.
No, absolutely.
I was just going to say, so what exactly do you, how do you work with entrepreneurs or these entrepreneurial women? Tell us a little bit more of the day-to-day, the details.
Yeah, well, I start with making it very, very clear that today is National Get Your Head Out of the Sand Day. And, you got to get clear about what's going on. And I give everyone the opportunity to have plenty of wine and a cocktail or a cup of coffee or whatever, and really trying to disarm them from getting so overwhelmed about their numbers to where they're like a deer in the headlights and they can't do anything. So once we deal with that, and that's a lot of work, then we get into tracking. Like, how should you track your stuff? Who should be tracking it? What numbers should you track? Because once you know and can see and understand, your world changes. You can make decisions that get you closer to where you want to be. So I teach a ton about tracking. I also talk about pricing, and we could talk more about that as the call goes on, but like, how do you price your stuff to make people buy it? How do you tap into that emotional brain buyer? And then from there, how do you invest in your business where you're not throwing money away and you're actually making money on your investments? And then we also talk about a marketing campaign. Like, how do you create a marketing campaign from a cash flow standpoint where you're making money in it and you're bootstrapping it along the way versus throwing all the money away, taking massive risks and failing and being like, geez, I really got to do it all over again, and then feeling bad about it.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I think we see it all the time with entrepreneurs is that if you're not really careful about your money situation, you could be out of business and, what is it, like some astonishing number of businesses in the first year fail, like, I don't know, 75% or something like that. You probably would know.
I think it's like 800% of the businesses fail within 4 minutes.
It's a ridiculous number.
So yeah, of course, and then this is extremely important because if you're not careful about, where you're spending and where things are going and where your money's going, then you could be part of that 800%. So very, very important to be clear on all that. So go ahead, Stephen.
So I was just going to say, I think so that we can really bring some value to the audience, or at least, from my standpoint, I always like to try to go through an example.
Yes.
So I think I have a good understanding of what it is that you do now. I always like to kind of go through a scenario for them to put it to real life.
Yes.
Obviously, don't use real people's names or numbers or anything like that, but just a general example. So somebody calls you up, Justin, I need help. I sell a physical product or I sell a digital product. How do you take that from there?
Yeah, so I'm just going to cut right to the easiest bite-sized chunk that I can give you guys in a few minutes, and it's around pricing. So let's pretend that I'll give two examples. You sell cookies and you're a consultant. Mm-hmm. So in both of those, most of the time when you sell cookies, you basically say, I got a dozen cookies for $15. Or if you're a consultant, you could say, I got a package for $1,000 a month or $300 an hour or whatever. But what I like to do is I like to work with business owners and teach them about how to have more than one price and package and bundle things. So for example, if you're selling cookies for $15, can you create another offering and sell it for $20? And then stack the bonuses on the $20 offering where you're not losing a lot of money and you're making the customer feel like they're getting something at a great deal. So people love deals, right? So you want to compare offer one to offer two. Or if you're a coach or a consultant and you're working, I'm making it up, at $1,000 an hour, well, what could you give away at $1,100 an hour and make people feel like they're really getting something for that? And then you need to display your offer like people can understand it and it's not Chinese. Like, people need to understand your offer real quick within 20 seconds or a confused mind doesn't buy and you won't even make sales. So from there, I'm talking about two prices, one being the decoy and making people feel like they're getting a great value if they buy the premium one, which should be 5 to 10% more. And then what you need to do, this is a little bit of the math part, you got to know what your fixed recurring costs are. So then you need to know how many cookies do I need to sell a month to cover my fixed recurring costs? Or how many clients do I need to bring in to cover my fixed recurring costs? And then from there, you can come up with some pricing.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah, that's very relevant to our audiences, of course, who are entrepreneurs. So this is a very good example for anyone who's, that's all we do, right? We try to sell some sort of consulting package or some sort of cookie package, in quotes. So yeah, very relevant.
Cool.
So do you ever, how long do you typically work with your clients for? Is it a lifetime of the business? Is it, I'll show you how to do this and then you move on to the next client?
Yeah, so I have about 7 one-on-one clients and then I have about 15 of them in a group. So I try not to do a ton of one-on-one. I think I'm much more effective in a group program where I can teach to many people and the community can form its own, posse, if you will. So I am a big believer in recurring revenue. Nearly 100% of my business, both businesses, are recurring. and I'm approaching
Good.
7 figures
Okay.
on recurring. That's what makes a business worth something. So what I do is I indoctrinate people in my stuff, then I'll bring them into my group where they can implement, because this stuff it's not like you're done in 2 weeks. This stuff goes on and on and on and on and on with new problems having to do with numbers and money and growing and all that.
Yeah, and I mean, your business evolves all the time, so you always have new challenges when it comes to
Yeah.
finances of your business, of course, yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. So what's the best way for our audience to get in touch with you, Justin?
I think the best way is for them to go to this website, which is called cashflowgift.com. It's 3 words in one URL, cashflowgift.com. What's probably going on in a lot of people's heads right now is like, okay, I know that I need to know more about this, but I don't know what to do. This is a guide that I created with like 2 or 3 simple little things to feel like, okay, I'm going to take control of my stuff and I'm going to move forward with it.
Awesome, yeah.
Okay.
We'll put that in the show notes and, of course, on the video as well so that everybody can see that URL. Stephen, any other last words that you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for being on the show, and I'm gonna try to think of another way to get some people hooked up with you, and maybe we can have you back or bring a real live problem to your hands and see how we can figure it out and solve it together.
That's pretty cool. Well, thanks so much for having me, guys. You guys rock, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, the
Absolutely.
Ginsberg, Rosenberg, and Craneberg.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
Bergs.
That's right, the Bergs.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks.
you guys have a green
Thank
day.
you.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you'll continue to get involved and join us as we help you find success in your entrepreneurial journey. Please follow, like, and share with others who will find this beneficial. We'll see you on the next episode of Marketing Success in Under 10 Minutes with Stephen and Jean.